My name is Dan, and I'm about to tell you a story that will dismantle your sense of self. It's not about a ghost in the attic or a monster under the bed. It's about the most profound violation imaginable, the theft of your own face, your own life, by something that wears them better than you ever could. This is the truth about my doppelganger, and I pray you never have to learn this truth for yourself. It began subtly, as these things supposedly do. I was 27, living a life of quiet, manageable dissatisfaction in a modest 2-bedroom house on the outskirts of a city that was just a name on a map to most people. I worked as a technical writer, translating engineer speak into user manuals for products nobody read. My life was a study in beige. It was comfortable, predictable, and utterly, soul-crushingly lonely. The first sign was a coffee cup. I am a creature of habit. Every morning, without fail, I would grind my beans, use the French press, and pour the steaming black liquid into my favorite mug, a chipped ceramic thing with a cartoon of a grumpy cat on it, a gift from an ex I'd rather forget. I'd drink it black while staring out the kitchen window at my neglected backyard. One Tuesday, I finished my coffee, rinsed the mug, and placed it in the dishwasher. That evening, when I went to get a glass of water, the mug was sitting in the dish rack, clean, dry, and upside down. I froze. A cold trickle of unease traced my spine. I lived alone. There was no landlord, no friendly neighbor with a key, no girlfriend to surprise me. I stood there for a full minute, staring at the inverted grumpy cat, its judgmental eyes seeming to mock me. I chalked it up to my own forgetfulness. Stress from work. I must have washed it by hand earlier and forgotten. The mind plays tricks, right? I convinced myself so thoroughly that by bedtime, I'd almost believed it. The incidents escalated, but with a cunning, gaslighting slowness. A book on my nightstand would be bookmarked 2 pages ahead of where I was certain I'd left off. The volume on my television would be a single notch lower than I preferred. The shirts in my closet, which I kept organized by color in a loose, lazy spectrum, would be slightly out of order. The navy blue shifted between the black and the gray. These were the whispers. The universe, or something in it, was gently testing the locks on my sanity. The first time I saw him, I thought it was a trick of the light. I was coming home from the grocery store, my arms laden with bags. As I fumbled for my keys at the front door, I glanced up at the bay window to my left, the one in my living room. For a fraction of a second, I saw a figure standing just inside, looking out. It was me. Same tired eyes, same messy brown hair, same faded t-shirt I'd been wearing that morning. My heart hammered against my ribs. The bag slipped from my numb fingers, scattering canned goods and pasta across the welcome mat. I fumbled the key into the lock, my hands shaking so violently I could barely turn it. I burst into the house, my breath caught in my throat. The living room was empty, silent. The only movement was the dust motes dancing in the late afternoon sun. "Hello?" I called out, my voice thin and reedy. No answer. I checked every room, brandishing a stupid, useless can of baked beans like a club. The house was empty. The doors were locked from the inside, the windows latched. I stood in the middle of my living room, the scene of the apparition, and felt the first true icy finger of dread trace its way down my backbone. This was no longer forgetfulness. This was an intrusion. I called the police. They were polite, patronizing. A young officer with a tired smile took my statement. "You saw yourself in the window? You sure it wasn't just a reflection, Mr. Dan?" "It was inside the house," I insisted, my voice trembling. "I was outside." He humored me, walked through the house, checked for points of entry. Everything's secure. No signs of forced entry. You live alone, sir? High-stress job? I got the message. They thought I was cracking up, and maybe I was. The seed of doubt, planted by the coffee cup, was now a thriving sapling. I started questioning everything. Was I losing time? Was I sleepwalking? I set up my laptop to record myself sleeping, a pathetic, desperate act of self-surveillance. The footage was 8 hours of me sleeping fitfully, the dim room illuminated only by the laptop's glow and the red LED of my alarm clock. Nothing. No midnight wanderings, no second Dan rising from the bed. Just me, alone. I felt a confusing mix of relief and deeper terror. If it wasn't me, then what was it? The encounters moved outside the house. I was at the local supermarket, pushing my cart down the cereal aisle, when I saw him. He was at the far end, his back to me, examining a box of granola. He was wearing my charcoal grey peacoat, the one I was sure was hanging in my closet at home. His posture, the set of his shoulders, the way his hair curled over his collar. It was all me. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I stood frozen, my knuckles white on the cart's handle. He must have felt my gaze because he began to turn, slowly, almost languidly. I couldn't face it. I couldn't see my own face looking back at me with alien eyes. I shoved my cart aside, abandoning it, and practically ran out of the store, earning strange looks from other shoppers. I sat in my car, hyperventilating, watching the automatic doors. He never came out. When I got home, my heart still trying to beat its way out of my chest, I ran to my bedroom and threw open the closet. The charcoal grey peacoat was hanging right where it should be. I grabbed it, burying my face in the fabric. It smelled like my laundry detergent. It felt like my coat. That's when I found the granola bar wrapper in the pocket, a kind I never bought, oats and honey. The horror was no longer a vague, creeping thing. It had shape and weight. It was wearing my skin, walking in my world, and it was getting bolder. I started seeing him everywhere, but always from a distance, always as he was turning a corner or disappearing into a crowd. A glimpse of my own profile in a passing car, the back of my head in a coffee shop window. He was haunting the edges of my life, a phantom of myself. My work suffered. I called in sick for 3 days straight. I stopped showering. I stopped leaving the house. I became a prisoner in my own home, which was no longer a sanctuary but the epicenter of the violation. I'd hear floorboards creaking in other rooms when I knew I was the only one there. The faint, almost imperceptible sound of someone else breathing. I decided to set a trap. It was a childish, simple plan, born of desperation. Before I went to bed, I sprinkled a fine layer of flour on the hardwood floor of the hallway leading from my bedroom to the living room. In the middle of the night, if something or someone got out of my bed, it would leave footprints. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the dark, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the sigh of the house settling. The red numbers of my alarm clock seemed to taunt me. 2:17, 2:18, 3:04, sometime after 4 a.m. Exhaustion must have claimed me. I awoke with a start to the grey, pre-dawn light filtering through the blinds. My first conscious action was to look at the floor. The floor was undisturbed. A pristine white carpet stretched from my door down the hall. A sob of relief caught in my throat. It was me. It had to be me. I was having a psychotic break. There was comfort in that, a strange kind of solace. I could get help. I could take pills. There was a path back, I swung my legs out of bed, my bare feet landing on the cool wooden floor. And that's when I saw them. The footprints started not from my bedroom door, but from the side of my bed. They weren't the prints of my bare feet. They were the prints of my work shoes, the leather-soled brogues I kept by the front door. They walked from the side of my bed, through the flower, and out into the hall. He had been standing right beside me as I slept. I screamed. It was a raw, animal sound of pure, undiluted terror. I scrambled back onto the bed, pulling the covers up to my chin like a child, my eyes fixed on the footprints. They were a perfect match. The worn-down heel, the specific tread. They were my shoes. I spent the rest of the day huddled in the center of my bed, too terrified to step on the floor. I was crying, muttering to myself. This was no longer a haunting. It was a hostile takeover. The thing, the doppelganger, wasn't just mimicking me. It was replacing me piece by piece, habit by habit, and it was doing it from inside my own home. The breaking point came a week later. I had barely slept, surviving on delivery food and terror. My phone rang. It was my boss, Frank. His voice was uncharacteristically stern. Dan, we need to talk. You came into the office yesterday, cleared out your desk, and told Marcia in HR that you were quitting effective immediately. No notice. What the hell is going on? If you had a problem, you should have come to me. The blood drained from my face. I felt dizzy, the room tilting on its axis. Frank, I haven't left my house in a week. I've been sick. You have to believe me. There was a long pause on the other end. Dan, I saw you. We shook hands. You were a little off, quiet, but it was you. You even wore that awful yellow tie you love so much. I don't own a yellow tie. It wasn't me, I whispered, the words tasting like ash. Look, Dan, Frank said, his tone shifting from anger to concern. I don't know what's going on with you, but you need help. Take some time, sort yourself out. But as far as the company is concerned, you have resigned. He hung up. I was left holding a dead phone. The silence of the house, pressing in on me, suffocating me. He had taken my job, my livelihood. He was out there, being a better, more functional version of me, and he was dismantling my life from the inside out. That night, I finally broke. The fear curdled into a boiling, reckless rage. This was my life. This was my face. I wasn't going to sit in this house and let it be stolen from me. I loaded my father's old hunting rifle, a relic I'd kept in the attic for sentimental reasons, never thinking I'd have a use for it. The weight of the cold, blue steel was a grim comfort. I wasn't going to wait for him to come to me. I was going to find him. I didn't have to look far. I knew where he would be. There was only one place he could go to fully cement his victory, to complete the erasure of Dan. My mother lived 40 minutes away, in the quiet suburban house I'd grown up in. She was my only real family. If the doppelganger could convince her, then I truly had nowhere left to go. I would be the ghost. I drove like a man possessed, the rifle on the passenger seat. The world outside the windshield was a blur of streetlights and darkness. My mind was a single focus point of fury and terror. I had to see it. I had to see this thing that wore my face, look it in the eye, and end this. I pulled up to my mother's house. The lights were on in the living room. Her car was in the driveway, and parked behind it was my car, or a perfect duplicate of it. Same make, same model, same stupid WRX vanity plate I thought was clever in college. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn off the ignition. I grabbed the rifle, the metal slick with my sweat. and got out. I didn't bother with the front door. I crept around the side of the house to the big picture window that looked into the living room, and I saw him. He was sitting on the floral patterned sofa I'd known my whole life. My mother was in her armchair smiling, laughing at something he had said. He was holding a cup of tea, gesturing with his free hand. He was wearing a sweater I didn't recognize, a soft-looking cashmere thing that seemed too expensive for me. He looked comfortable, at ease, happier than I had been in years. He looked like a better son. The rage inside me exploded. This thing, this imposter, wasn't just stealing my life. It was performing a superior version of it for my own mother, and she was buying it. She was looking at him with love and warmth in her eyes, a look I realized she hadn't given me in a long, long time. I didn't think. I raised the rifle, using the stock to smash through the living room window. The shattering of glass was a monstrous sound. My mother screamed, a high, shrill sound of terror. The doppelganger didn't flinch. He slowly placed his teacup on the coffee table and stood up, turning to face me. And for the first time, I saw my own face, not as a reflection, but as a separate entity. It was me, down to the last pore, the last stray eyebrow hair. But the eyes were all wrong. They were my shade of hazel, but they were flat, depthless. They held no fear, no surprise, no anger. They were the eyes of a predator that had been waiting for its prey to finally arrive. "Dan!" my mother shrieked. "What in God's name are you doing?" "That's not me, Mum," I screamed, the rifle trained on his chest. My voice was hysterical, cracked with panic. "That thing is not your son. Look at it." The doppelganger took a step towards the broken window, a sad, gentle smile on its face. My face. "Mum," it said, and its voice was my voice, but calmer, more resonant, more sane. "It's okay. I told you he wasn't well. This is what I was afraid of." He looked at me, and those dead eyes seemed to gleam with a secret, terrible knowledge. "Dan, please, put the gun down. Let us help you the perfect performance." The concerned, stable brother confronting his insane, violent twin. I saw the dawning horror and belief on my mother's face. She was looking at me, the real me, standing outside with a rifle, my face contorted in rage, and she was seeing a monster. She was seeing the imposter. "No," I sobbed, the rifle wavering. "Don't listen to him. He's the copy. He's the thing." "There's no such thing as doppelgangers, Dan," it said softly, taking another step closer. It was now only a few feet from me, separated only by the shattered window frame. "It's just you and me. It's always been just you and me. You're sick. Let me take you somewhere you can get better." In that moment, I knew I had lost. He had won. He had my life, my mother, my sanity. There was only one thing left to do. If I couldn't have my life, neither would he. I tightened my finger on the trigger. Get away from my mother. He took one final step, bringing his face close to mine, so only I could hear him over my mother's weeping. His breath smelled like peppermint tea. His lips parted, and he whispered 4 words that shattered the last vestiges of my reality. I was here first. The world stopped. The sound of my mother's cries, the feel of the rifle stock against my cheek, the cold night air, it all vanished into a void of pure, incomprehensible horror. I was here first. The meaning of it, the immense, soul-crushing weight of it, collapsed onto me. It wasn't a copy. It wasn't an imposter that had recently arrived. It was the original, the prime. I was the duplicate. I was the ghost, the echo, the thing that had somehow crawled out of the void and stolen its life. All my memories, my childhood, my entire sense of self, they were all just borrowed, a phantom limb of a soul I never had. The subtle shifts, the gaslighting. It wasn't him trying to drive me mad. It was him trying to gently, patiently coax the universe back into its proper alignment. He was the homeowner, and I was the squatter he was trying to evict. The rifle felt alien in my hands, a prop in a play I was never meant to be in. I was the monster. I was the nightmare. My grip loosened. The rifle clattered to the ground. I saw the police lights then, blue and red flashing in the distance, drawing closer. My mother must have called them. The doppelganger looked past me, his face a mask of relieved concern. "It's okay, officers," he called out, his voice the very picture of strained bravery. "He's my brother. He's unwell. He doesn't know what he's doing." I didn't resist as the officers approached, their own weapons drawn. I was catatonic, lost in the bottomless chasm of those 4 words. I was handcuffed, led away, placed in the back of a squad car. As the car pulled away from the curb, I looked back at the broken window. The doppelganger had his arm around my mother, comforting her. She was clinging to him, her face buried in his shoulder, the shoulder that was mine but wasn't. He looked at me through the car window, and as our eyes met for the last time, he gave me a small, almost imperceptible smile. It wasn't a smile of triumph. It was a smile of pity. The look you give a damaged, obsolete tool you're finally discarding. That was 6 months ago. I'm writing this from a long-term psychiatric facility. They diagnosed me with severe schizophrenia, with Capgras delusion. The belief that those close to you have been replaced by imposters. In my case, I believed I was the imposter. They tell me it's a rare but documented form of the condition. The therapy, the medication. It's all designed to make me accept that the man living in my house, the man who visits me once a week with my mother, is the real Dan. That he is me, and I am the sick, fractured part of his psyche that has been mercifully sedated. He's a model patient. He brings me books, talks calmly with the doctors. He's getting my life back on track. I heard a nurse say he's landed a new job, a better one than I ever had. He's seeing someone, a nice woman my mother adores. Sometimes, during his visits, when the nurses aren't looking, he'll lean forward and whisper updates on my life, our life. The promotion is going well, Dan. Sarah says she loves me. Mum's making her famous pot roast on Sunday. You'd like it. He says it not to taunt me, I've come to realize. He says it to reassure me, to let me know that the life I thought was mine is in good hands, that it was never really mine to begin with. They're talking about releasing me soon. Not as Dan, of course. Dan is out there living my life. They've given me a new name, a new identity, a ghost's identity. I'll be set up in a halfway house with a small stipend and a job bagging groceries. A quiet, beige existence for a quiet, beige man who never truly was. So that's the truth about my doppelganger. The horror isn't that there's something out there that looks like you. The true, gut-wrenching nightmare horror is the possibility that you are the thing that looks like you. That your memories are not your own. Your face is alone, and your soul is a placeholder for something more real, more authentic, that was here first. Look in the mirror. Look closely. Do you really, truly know the person looking back? Or are you just keeping the seat warm, living a life on borrowed time, waiting for the real you to come home and ask for it back? Sleep well.